We now move from England to Scotland. Scotland is surrounded by little islands, and there's one called the Isle of Mull. And there's a town there that's very famous, Tobermory. All the shops are different colours. It's something like coming to Scandinavia, but in Britain it's different. Every shop is a different colour. And I arrived there in a single-decker bus. I'd not got to the double-deckers then. And I drove down to the car park and parked up. That night I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to be quiet. The night after, the same happened. I'd been out all day, not spoken to anybody because no one wanted to speak to me. But then I heard a knock on the door of the bus, and I opened it. It was about 9 o'clock in the evening. And this young man came in and he said, "What are you doing here? What's all these sayings on the bus about Jesus?" And I started talking to him about the Lord. He didn't seem all that interested. But then I said to him, I'm going from here to Shetland. I'll be leaving tomorrow or the day after. Oh, he said, "I know a man in Shetland. He's a pastor. I used to work with him. I'm a woodcutter in the forest. I cut down trees, and he used to help me. His name's Vince. If you can find Vince, will you tell him Archie would love to know how he is? I've not spoken to him for over 30 years. So off I went to the Shetland Islands, and whilst I was there, I forgot all about it. Until somebody asked me to go and speak in a specific church, and when I got there, I was introduced to the pastor, and his name was Vince. So I asked a few questions, and I said, "Do you remember a chappie called Archie Darling? He lives in Mull." He said, "Oh yes, I know Archie." And I said, "Well, what do you know about him?" He said, "I've prayed for him every day for 30 years. He said, "and I've seen no results. He doesn't even ring me up." And I said, "Well, he's told me to give you his regards. And next time I see him, I'll tell him I've seen you." I finished my tour there, and going back, I decided I would go back to the Mull. And I was pulling down this big hill into Mull, and Archie must have seen me. And as I passed his house, I saw him coming out of the house, and he ran behind the bus until I stopped. And he dived on and he said, "Did you see Vince?" Oh, I said, "Yes, I saw Vince." "How is he? What's he doing? What?" He couldn't get the words out quickly enough. And I said, "Vince has told me to tell you that since the day he left, he never stopped praying for you. He prays for you every morning." And Vince just looked at me and he said, "I want what you and Vince have. How can I, what do I do?" And I said, "Well, in your mind or out loud, just repeat these words." So I spoke the words of salvation. "Jesus, forgive me my sins, come into my heart and make me new. I want to serve you." And when it was over, he said, "Now what do I do?" I said, "You've got to tell somebody. You've got to go and tell somebody that you are now a born-again Christian. You are now saved. You now know Jesus." He said, "Can I tell Vince?" And I picked up my phone, and the first person he told was the man who prayed for him for 30 years.